Hi everyone, welcome back to my vlog. I'm Robin, or Hobbit's Reading List, and this week we are going on vacation. Finally. Like, I've taken some days off so far this year, but this is my first time taking multiple days off of work, so I'm very much looking forward to it. We are going to Grand Rapids, Michigan for my anniversary trip with my husband. It's our 10th wedding anniversary and our 15th dating anniversary, because they are the same day, because we like having only one day to remember. So let's just jump right into it. I did film a 2-week vlog, but one, I realized I wouldn't really have time to edit it before we left. And two, I realized that, like, I didn't really read that much. Like, I did. But both of the books that I read, one physically, one audiobook, were quite long. And also the audiobook was from the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. It was the third book, which I have already read earlier this year. So if you want my thoughts on it, you can go watch the vlog that has the Dungeon Anarchist cookbook. Like, you can go watch that. The other book I have not quite finished yet. I'm physically reading the 6th book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, which is called The Eye of the Bedlam Bride. I can't really get into it because it's the 6th book in the series. The series, however, which I can tell you about, follows Carl at the end of the world, essentially. All of the infrastructure on Earth has been collapsed by aliens who are there to mine the Earth of its minerals, but also host this, like, it's this, like, reality game show for the rest of the universe called Dungeon Crawler World, where all of the survivors from Earth who choose to enter the dungeon can just try to survive. The goal is to try to get to the 18th level of the dungeon, but historically no one has gotten past the 12th level, so not likely. So we're following Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Princess Donut, who they end up bonding and becoming, like, you know, very, very tight. They're each other's family. Is very cute. But it's also, like, it can be a hard series, but it's very, very well done. And I'm very much enjoying it. I should finish the 6th book today. That is kind of my goal. Yeah. So that, there you go. That is what would have been in my last vlog if I had posted it, but I decided not to, so I'm putting it in this. I am not starting an audiobook right now because I'm about to travel to Michigan, and while that does involve car travel, I will have my husband with me, and he's not a huge reader, so I won't start an audiobook until Friday. And that's about it. That's all I have. So I am bringing my Kindle with me to Michigan, so that when we have downtime or we're relaxing or I'm waiting for Chris to wake up, like, I will read books there. And I already have the books picked out, because I have, like, 3 Kindle books on my June TBR, so that are, like, already on my Kindle. Okay, so I'm in a hotel room. We got to Grand Rapids yesterday, but before I talk about that, I finished the 6th book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series on Sunday night, The Eye of the Bedlam Bride, and I really enjoyed it. There's a lot happening, and there are a lot of, like, characters to keep track of, but it's not too overwhelming or anything. and it was very exciting. And I also appreciated that, like, I've been trying to think about how to talk about this without giving spoilers. There is a scene where Carl has to, like, come to grips with some things from his childhood and how that impacted his adult life, and how not knowing some things impacted his adult life. And I'm trying really hard to, like, not give away spoilers, but if you've read the book, you probably know what I'm talking about. I think it's chapter 45. As someone with some, like, childhood trauma, nothing from my dad. My dad is amazing. And it's more about, like, my mommy issues, which, like, I don't really talk about much, but I just really appreciated how Carl handled it, right? Like, it was the perfect, like, closure. Even if it wasn't necessarily, like, Carl knew what was happening, and so I don't know, but I don't feel like that changed it. Like, he knew what was happening. He knew, like, there were elements that weren't real. I'm trying really hard not to give spoilers. But it's still, like, I think it was still the perfect form of closure for him. And I only hope to reach that point in my journey with my mommy issues. So, yeah, I guess that's all I'm going to say, because, like, I can't really, like, I don't think I can talk around it any more than I have. And I feel like I'm not doing a good job of talking around it. So there was that. Yes, I thought it was very well done. I'm very excited for the 7th book, which is on my June TBR. And yeah, I thought it was really great. So I gave The Eye of the Bedlam Bride 4.5 stars. Just because, like, there were some times where, like, I found myself, like, my eyes kept, like, jumping ahead a little bit because, like, there's a lot of, like, explanation from the, like, game system that, like, is necessary, but also kind of goes over my head, so I kind of just, like, I don't skip it, but, like, my eyes want to skip it. So that's the only reason. But it was very, very well done. And then yesterday we drove up to Grand Rapids and we got some lunch. We checked in the hotel. We played mini golf, and the mini golf place we went to is, like, a games bar. Like they had Connect Four and they had shuffleboard. I think it's shuffleboard. The long table with the sand on it. I think that's shuffleboard. I could be wrong. I don't know which one that is. I don't play it. And then they had they had skee ball, and they had the basketball game, and they had air hockey, and they had this game where there's a ring on the end of a string, and you just, like, try to get it onto a hook on the wall. I actually really enjoyed that one. It's very meditative, actually. Chris was not good at it. It was the only game he wasn't good at, so I was like, this is my time to shine. And I actually did do better than him in the, like, 2 times that I went. So that was a lot of fun. And then we got dinner, and then we were just kind of tired because it had been, like, a long day of, like, I worked out yesterday morning, and I had therapy yesterday morning, and then we drove up here, and then we did all that. So after dinner, we just came to the hotel room and just, like, hung out. I started reading Role Model, which is the 5th book in the Game Changers series. And it follows Troy Barrett, who we have seen in the 3rd book, which I had really enjoyed. But he was a forward on the Toronto team, and he was, like, besties with this guy named Dallas Kent, and, like, the two of them were just absolute assholes. But we see in this book that a lot of Troy being an asshole was to, like, hide the fact that he's gay. And so he was, like, hiding behind Dallas Kent, who, like, is an asshole. And the book opens when Troy is traded to Ottawa, which is where Ilya from the 2nd book is now captain. and they don't get together. I realize, like, if you haven't read the series, it's like I'm like setting up for a romance between them. No. So Troy is trying to adjust to this new team, which is like one of the worst in the league. But he's like really trying as much as he can while still like trying to protect his secret. But the reason he got traded was because Dallas Kent, has been accused by like I think like 4 different women of sexual assault, and Troy yelled at him in the locker room, for doing that because he had read the post and it sounded so familiar to him that he's like, yeah, no, he did it. Whereas the rest of the league is either like not saying anything or is like supporting Dallas Kent. So Troy is sort of an outlier, and because of this like very public screaming match that is then leaked on the internet, Troy gets traded to Ottawa. So there's all that. But Troy meets Harris, who's the social media manager for the Ottawa team, and there's some attraction and sparks there. And I have a feeling it's going to be very cute based off of what I know about them, which I'm very excited for. And I love a redemption arc. So like if Troy actually does, like, if we can see the change not only in like his thought process but like in his actions, like that should happen. So I read like I think like 17% last night. So I'm really enjoying that, and I might finish it while we're here. I'm not sure. This is like a trip for mine and Chris's anniversary. It's our 10-year wedding anniversary and our 15 like dating. And so, I don't want to take away from our quality time to read. So, but if it happens that like we're both just like very tired at the end of the night, then like I'll read. So, but we're gonna go to breakfast because I'm starving because I went and worked out at the hotel gym this morning, and the breakfast is not complimentary, so I didn't eat anything beforehand, so I'm starving. So I will check in later. So I have a lot to talk about. Let me start off by saying, like, the rest of mine and Chris's anniversary trip was very nice. I did have some mood dipping, which sucked. I felt really bad about that. But overall, it's very nice. We were just very sore. Like, we did a lot of walking, and, like, we both have back issues, we both have feet issues, so like by the end of it we're just very sore. And so since we've gotten back, we've just kind of been like just relaxing, which has meant a lot of reading for me, so that's why I say I have a lot to talk about. But I'm not really gonna talk more about the vacation because like a lot of it was like the only thing we really did besides like going out to eat which we did a lot, it was visiting Meyer Gardens and then going to the Grand Rapids Public Museum. And then after that we went to Holland to go to the New Holland Brewery and walk around a little bit there. And then we came home. So, but it was very nice. Okay, so I finished reading Role Model. I really, really loved it. And I also loved that, like, I've talked before about appreciating that Rachel Reid sort of changes it up with every book and what like tropes are in the book or are missing. And Role Model is the same. It is a little bit different. I don't want to give any spoilers or anything. So I just appreciated how it was different while also seeing like Harris and Troy's relationship develop in a way that felt realistic, but also like promoting Troy's character growth and you know, the acknowledgement that like before he was transferred to Ottawa, like he was an asshole. And that was a front, but like he acknowledges that like just because he's changed and he's, you know, accepted more of himself, and so he doesn't have to put on this like front, doesn't mean that people have to forgive him. So I thought that was really nice, because if he did have the expectation of like, no, it would be harder to like Troy if he went into situations like that. But he's just like, no, like all I can do is prove that I'm different. That was, you know, that was a mask. Yeah, so it was really nice. So I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. And now I'm looking forward to reading The Long Game. Because... And then after that... So let me see. Yeah, after that, on Friday, I started listening to Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out. Now this follows Arthur, who is 79 years old. He's a grandfather. And it starts with him coming out to his children as gay. And now this prompts a lot of questions, because he's been married to his wife for like 50 years. And his wife knows. It's sort of, I haven't gotten all the details yet, because I'm a third of the way through. But it sort of seems like a lavender marriage a little bit. Or not a lavender marriage. It seems like Madeline, his wife, is his beard, or was his beard, essentially. But like it did develop into like genuine love, and obviously they raised children together and everything. But Arthur had been hiding, you know, from everyone else that he was gay. And so he comes out to his kids. They're both very confused, but his daughter takes it horribly. To where it kind of does seem like she's homophobic. I forgot about the word for a second. Like, she just keeps going on and on about how could she do this to, you know, her mom. Whereas her mom is just sitting there and be like, nope, we're good. Like, we've talked about it. We're just figuring out what the future looks like, and we didn't want to have to hide anymore. And like, she's good. She honestly seems like the best friend ever. And Arthur is being really understanding that like it's a shock, and you know, his daughter Elizabeth needs time and stuff like that. But I'm just like, every scene that she pops up, I get so angry, because I'm like, I can understand being surprised and confused and having questions, but Elizabeth didn't ask any questions. The only question was like, how could you do this to mom? Not even considering that her mother was also like a willing participant in this, like, but like she didn't even ask. She didn't ask about how this happened, how did they make it work, why did they do that. Like, there were no questions. It was just these accusations, to where it's like, I'm like, all right, well, you're not really interested in understanding that. Like, you just want to be angry at him. And that's why I feel like we're not supposed to believe that she's homophobic, but like, it kind of feels like she's homophobic. So that's Arthur. The other part of this book is Teddy, who is Arthur's grandson, Elizabeth's son, is also gay. And he knows that he's gay, but he's still in the closet. And after seeing his mother's reaction to her father coming out, he's very much like, oh, nope, can't come out now. So, and it's just really sad. But also, like, Elizabeth is supposed to be like, well, she's the antagonist, which is good, because I hate her. Because, potential homophobia aside, she also just seems like a really shit mom. Like, she's this like not investigative. She's this like hotshot journalist who's known for like her opinion pieces, which I didn't know you could be a hotshot journalist with opinion pieces. I thought you had to be like investigative journalist or whatever, but I don't know. But Teddy's also like a very good writer, but he has spent his entire life in his mom's shadow, being constantly like compared to her or being used by other people to get close to her. And then like his mom is completely like not understanding and is constantly like putting these pressures on him to like be better and do things the way that she would. And so he has a lot of like resentment towards her, which is totally fair because the scenes where they're in is just like damn, like you can't just let him eat dinner. You have to like she admitted that she was using, you know, because she does get him a job at like the magazine or something, newspaper, and she admitted that the person training him like has been reporting to her everything that he's been doing. And he's like, cool. Because so he like it doesn't even have a chance to like develop on his own. But so there's that. And also he's sort of in competition with this guy named Ben for like the same position because they're sort of like in an internship right now. But him and Ben have a good connection and they're getting closer. And it's gonna make things complicated. So, yeah, I'm about a third of the way through. I hate Elizabeth. But Arthur and Teddy are nice. The writing isn't the strongest. It feels a little clunky, little cliche at times. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm not expecting anything like... I'm guessing it's gonna be like a 3. But... So there's that. The other book, like I said, I had a lot to talk about. The other book that I read is Chasing Magic. It's one of the Kindle books that I got last summer. And it follows Willow, who is a familiar, which means that he is a shapeshifter. He can turn into a blue jay. But as a familiar, he is also sort of a conduit? Yeah. For someone else's magic, his spark's magic. And so familiars in this world are, well, familiars and sparks are trying to find each other to help the magic be stronger. Willow has been looking for his spark for like 5 years. And he has this like magic compass, and he does end up finding his spark, Nash. But along with Nash is Callan, and Callan is actually Willow's true mate. And so it's really interesting in this world that like your familiar or spark are most likely not going to be your true mate. And so you end up in this like kind of like a polycule a little bit, but only it's like a queer platonic polycule with some people that are actually like intimate together. It's really interesting. And it can be sometimes a lot to keep track of. But thankfully, the only ones you really need to keep track of are like Willow and Callan. And then like Nash is there and is very supportive. Callan is not a familiar. He's just a shapeshifter, but he can turn into a hawk. So Callan and Willow have a little like, have a bird baby. So, and that's not a spoiler. It's right on the like blurb that there's Mpreg. So I did like it. It was cute. It was pretty shallow. Like there was a lot told, and then there was like, especially Willow's like deeper emotions, like struggles with like insecurity and like abandonment issues, it seems like, but that was only ever hinted at. There's just not a lot of depth to it. So while it was entertaining and like the spicy scene, well, I think there were like 2 spicy scenes, which honestly that's a little disappointing. Like, but they were good, but it was like, I was like, oh, I would expect there to be more. Yeah, it just felt like there was just something missing. Like I couldn't really connect because it didn't go any deeper. So I gave Chasing Magic 3 stars. And I probably won't continue it because there is a sequel following one of Willow's cousins, but eh. And then yesterday I started His Coffee Shop Crush, and I'm like 75% through, so I'll finish it today. But His Coffee Shop Crush is following Jack, who is an author, for a middle grade series, and he needs to get this 4th book done because he's approaching his deadline, which has already been pushed back. And so he goes to this little town in Connecticut that his friend has a house in to, you know, sort of get away and focus on the book. And he goes to this coffee shop and he starts writing, but at the coffee shop he meets Pete, who is a barista, and there's a sort of like immediate like attraction and interest, and in between writing, Jack and Pete start spending more time together, but they discover like a quarter of the way through the book that they have a connection with each other. Not just like an emotional connection, but like they are involved in each other's lives in a way that like you start picking up on before they realize it. So that does create some complications of like, because by the time they realize how they are connected, they already have some feelings and some desires and wanting to date and everything, and then this sort of like throws a wrench in that. So I'm enjoying it. I feel like it's one of those things of like, I feel like I'm being told a lot instead of like being shown through actions or through, you know, what they're doing, how they're feeling. So like that's just a little bit. But okay, that's it. I need to go to work, and I will check in tonight or tomorrow with my final thoughts on his coffee shop crush. So I finished reading his coffee shop crush. I I mostly finished it on Sunday. I have like, I don't know, like 7 pages of the epilogue left. But I finished it. For the most part, I enjoyed it. I think I talked before about how I felt like it was kind of surface level. I feel like there was a lot of telling. But it was still like, it was still cute, you know, still had a good story. Nothing like super wrong with it. I just didn't like connect super well with the characters. So I gave it 3 stars, but which I think is what I predicted. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So there's that. I also listened to another like 30% of Arthur and Teddy Are Coming Out. And I continue to hate Elizabeth. She started getting better and then something happened, and now I have an issue with people who someone trusts them enough to come out to them and then they make it all about themselves. Like, I have a really big issue with that. Like, someone is like confiding in you or just like being honest with you with the hope that you will accept it and take it well and, you know, prove wrong the voice in their head that says they're about to be abandoned. And that person is just like, I can't believe you didn't tell me this before, and, you know, I'm not part of your special club or something. Like, it's so fucking stupid. So I have a really big issue with that. Because, like, I don't read a lot of books that like have coming out stories, because I mostly read like adult MM romances where people are already out for the most part. Like, it's not necessarily always true, but so the fact that, you know, Arthur and Teddy are coming out is a coming out story. Like, I don't often deal with that, with people making it about themselves instead of the person who's coming out. But I do read a lot of fan fiction. And unfortunately, the fandom that I'm in right now, Heated Rivalry, it does have a character who does that as well. When one of the main characters comes out and he sort of makes it about himself instead of like supporting his friend. So like I read a lot of fan fiction where that's a thing that happens, and it's so annoying every time. But so yeah, so that's mainly the thing. I don't feel like I can really go into any more detail about, you know, the book without getting into spoilers. So yeah, so that's what I read. Overall, pretty good week. Obviously, I had a great trip with Chris, and then I got some good reading done. So yeah, so now we're just getting back to normal life with like work and stuff. So but thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed all the clips of my anniversary trip. Leave me a comment, like the video, subscribe, click the notification bell, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.